Hi, my name is Carl Flint. I'm one of the media and technology team of the BMW Oxford Section Motorbike Club. We thought it would be a good idea to present a video about how to share easily a GPX file and how to load it onto your navigation device using an iPad. I really enjoy creating routes for my riding, mainly in my route app, but I also look at routes suggested online or magazines such as Ride. There is no doubt that in recent years being able to share routes with other riders has been made a lot easier with the availability and familiarity of GPX files that anyone can use and import onto their navigation device, whether it be a BMW Navigator, a Garmin or a TomTom device. I think there is something reassuring for a group of riders setting off an extended tour to have the same route to follow on their devices, so in the event of delays, everyone knows where to go next. In this video we are not using Basecamp, and instead we are using an iPad as the means to upload the GPX file onto your nav device. The same method will work if your device is connected to a tablet using the Android operating system, or if you want to use a laptop or desktop. We have chosen an iPad due to its size and weight, being well suited to taking it on a tour. So how are we going to get a GPX file onto your iPad and then onto your Nav 5 or 6 device? I am using an example of having a variety of different sources of GPX files that are external to your iPad. This could be on the internet somewhere, referenced in a magazine, or on the BMW Oxford Meetup site, or it could be a route you've already created in My Route app or Basecamp on your laptop or desktop. So let's start with the example of a site where you're browsing away on your iPad. You've seen a site, it's got a route which you like the look of, it's got a web link, so you would click on that and through the cloud the GPX file will be downloaded into your iPad, onto your iPad, and normally come into the downloads folder. I'll demonstrate this a little bit more in a moment. If you saw the route in a magazine, you would have to most likely go to the site of the magazine, for example Ride, and there, once you've got into the Ride magazine online, you would then see a web link for the route. And again, you go through the same process of downloading the file, and the file will come into the downloads folder on your iPad. If it was in the BMW Oxford Meetup site, there would be there'd be a web link, same process. In My Route app or Basecamp, you can export the file as a GPX file, and there you would have to, in effect, email it to yourself. I'm not going to demonstrate that at the moment, but what I am going to talk about is the situation where a friend has seen a great route on the internet or has created a route in My Route app or Basecamp, and they want to share the route with you and to send you the route. So what they will do, they will attach the route as a GPX file in an email, and they will send you an email, and the email will come to onto your iPad in your email client software. And as before, you would move the attached file into the downloads folder of the iPad, and from there you would move it to the Nav 5 or 6. We will look at this in a little bit more detail in a moment. As I've said earlier, this method will work whether you connect your Nav device to an iPad, Android, tablet, laptop or desktop, and it's this area that we will look at in detail of how to move the GPX file off of your nav into the GPX folder on your Nav 5 or 6. I have mentioned GPX a lot, but what is it? It means the GPS or Global Positioning System data exchange format for software applications. It can be used to describe waypoints, tracks and routes. The format is open and can be used without the need to pay license fees. Location data is stored in tags, and these can be conveniently interchanged between GPS devices and software. The first GPX file format 1.0 was released in 2002, and GPX 1.1, which we all use today, was released in 2004. Okay, let's now look at connecting the Nav 6, in my case, to my iPad. So to do this, we'll need this USB-C to USB connector, which Apple sell at a vast cost, of course. Anything to do with Apple is always outrageously expensive. Anyway, you'll need one of these. And then you can see the the Nav 6 here. And to connect connect it all together, you'll need to connect the USB end into the USB-C cable, and it goes around like that. And there we are, it's connected. And you'll see that the Nav 6 has gone into sort of connection mode. One thing to point out, and it is very important, is that the USB-C cable, the USB cable, which connects the Nav 6 to the iPad, it must be a combined power and data cable. Some cables are just power cable and they won't transmit data, so it's important that you have the right cable. And then once you've connected it, eventually the Nav 6 will show up as a device in the files section of the iPad, and we'll go on to look at that now in a moment. I wanted to take a few moments just to go over the Files app on your iPad. It could be that your Files app is something you've not used in the past. And it could also be that it's not actually sitting in the dock as it is on my iPad. This icon might be somewhere else in amongst all your other apps, but this is what the Files app looks like. And it's very useful because it does the same job as Finder on your Mac or MacBook Pro or Explorer on a PC. So I'll just press on Files, open it up, and here you can see on the left hand side the various locations. If I press on iCloud Drive, you can see the folders I've got on my iCloud. Press on Dropbox. These are the various folders I've got within Dropbox. And then if I press on Downloads, see my Downloads folder is currently empty. I'll come back to the Downloads folder in a moment, because it's this folder that we're going to use to move a GPX file from the iPad onto the Nav 6. So the Files app is a very useful way of managing your files and storing them in particular locations. I'm on the iPad now looking at Ride magazine in the Safari web browser, and I've come down to other routes in southeast France, and there's a nice photograph here of the gorge of L'Ardèche. Looks good. Scroll down a little bit further, and now it gives me the option to download a GPX file for the Route Napoleon. The Route Napoleon is on my bucket list. So if I press on the download link, this is the web link I referred to earlier in my diagram, I can now download this. And it'll come into my downloads folder, move up here, press on the down arrow into the downloads. Okay, so there it is. Boom, we come into the downloads folder on the Files app in the iPad. So we've got this zip file here. I'm going to delete it. We don't need it. And I've got my Route Napoleon GPX. That's good. And also in the downloads folder, I brought in a route I'd made before for the 17th of July when we were traveling up through France. So this is a GPX file which has come from my route app. And I'm going to import these two, or move these two files now onto the Nav 6. Here we're in Files again on the iPad, and you can see that I've got my Nav 6 connected. You can see the no name SD card, which is the internal card for the Nav device, and then the Garmin device here is the Nav 6 actually. So I can press on the Garmin, and as you've seen in my diagram before, GPX folder, that's where we're going to put the files that are in the download folder. So let's go back to the downloads folder. I'm going to, on the root Napoleon, long press, copy, and Garmin, GPX folder, long press anywhere, paste. Now I've got root Napoleon up here as a file in the GPX folder of the Garmin. Go back to downloads, long press, copy. I've now copied the file imported from my root app. Go back to Garmin, in the GPX folder, which is the key thing. Long press anywhere, paste, and somewhere, wherever it's put it, day 4, 17th of July. So now I've got my 2 roots in the GPX folder on the Nav 6. So next we'll go and see the files in the Nav 6 and bring them into Trip Planner. So here we've got the Nav 6 turned on, and the 2 routes that I've been imported have been found. So I'm going to, so it's a new routes found, import to Trip Planner, yes. I'm going to select all, and then import. This could take quite a long time. Let's see what happens. It's to take a very long time. Oh, it's calculating now. Okay, so it seems to have brought both routes in. So we're going to go to Apps, Trip Planner, and then scroll down through the list of routes. We've got one here, route Napoleon, good, we'll look at that. We'll look at the map. Yep, that looks pretty good. Just zoom in a little bit and see. You can see the route might not be absolutely on the road, nailed down. It's often when you import a GPX file, the routes seem to be a bit off the road. So what we'll do is we'll go back, we'll go into Edit Trip, we'll go into Transportation Mode, and we'll change that to Motorcycle, and we'll save. Hopefully this will calculate the route more quickly than the first time round. It's getting through that quite quickly, that's good. Nearly 100%. There we are. Now go back to the map again, have a look at the map, and we'll just zoom in a bit, and that looks a lot better. That's on the roads now. So that we'll go back. Okay, let's go have a look at the other routes. It'll be where is it? Probably called route day 4. That's when you can, usually when you import a GPX file from my route app, it has the word route in front of it, which you can edit. We'll show you how to do that. So you can go into the 3 arrows there, rename trip, so you can get rid of the route bit there, done. Okay, now we're going to transportation mode, recalculate the route, motorcycle, save, calculating the route. It's getting through that quite quickly, which is good. Nearly there, 100% done. Have a look at the map, and that's all looking pretty good. Poor satellite reception because I'm indoors, so that's looking nice. Okay, there we are. We've got our 2 routes on board, and we can now set the departure time if we want to. Set departure time. That's what function you can do. I'm not going to do that. That's an option you've got. Go back out. And there we are. We've got our 2 routes onto the Nav 6. Nice and easy. Anyone can do it. So give it a go.